Paterson follows Paterson, a bus driver who lives in Paterson, New Jersey. The movie explores his life in 7 days and how the mundane life can fuel the creative life hiding away. A movie that is counted towards Hollywood's action blockbusters, Paterson is a quiet movie with its big action scene being Paterson's bus breaking down. But amidst Paterson's comfortable life, he writes poetry, a way for him to express himself. But with the movie being that simple and nothing of excitement happening, why am I interested in the life of Paterson? The mundane life of Paterson is one that a lot of people can connect to. We wake up for work and go home from it, relaxing in our own way just to repeat that motion again the following day. But just like Paterson, we try to fulfill our creative passion. For him, that is writing poems, but for many of us, it could be reading a book, writing a story, or making a YouTube video. For him, his poems is an outlet to express himself. During the movie, he doesn't emote emotions often. When asked how his life is, he responds with,
"I'm okay."
Or when Marvin the dog shreds his notebook full of poems, his reaction isn't to get angry or upset, it's to stay stoic. This was an intentional move from director Jim Jarmusch, with the intentions creating a zen-like state reflected in the personality of Paterson. I'm trying to find a zen way where you are just there each moment and you're not thinking too much about what's going to happen next. Boring places for the everyman, with big feet but nowhere to run. He watches the sky drift by as passengers board on, waiting for time to align with his message. That time has nowhere to run. His experiences guide his poems, such as buying new brand matches, a higher blue tip, which is a metaphor he uses to describe his love for Laura, or the picture of his favourite waterfall reminds him of the poem from the little girl. Experiences build the art. When comparing Paterson to girlfriend Laura, we see two different approaches to art. Laura's approach is all guns blazing and letting the art dictate her life, while Paterson's approach is let life dictate the art. While both are not right nor a wrong way to approach art, I believe the movie leans towards Paterson's application of his art. Writer and director Jim Jarmusch has stated in an interview that he believes art should be made for oneself before the world, and this viewpoint is personified by Paterson, who writes poems not to be famous or to get recognition, but to self-improve and get better. Compare that to Laura, her obsession to get famous or get rich takes away her focus on the actual art.
Maybe even a big star, like one of the greats.
She bounces from painting to baking to music to search for a golden ticket to stardom. I believe it's a criticism of today's obsession to be famous without working on the craft, with the biggest example being YouTube famous. The focus for many has become to be a YouTube star but not earn that right. Without the focus of making content for oneself and improve to get better by learning from experiences, people create content for other people as a way to fish for views. With Paterson, his goal isn't to be the next big poet. It is to express himself and write poems he wants to read, not what other people want to read. The star shines in my eyes when I open the door. Glowing bright and never alone, she walks and dances through the solar system. Wondrous and mysterious, I glare at her, even as my eyes burn away. She finds the time to find me through the other trillions of stars in her way. But as time ticks on, the star slowly dies. Her bright features blackened by the infinite other stars around her. She cries for help and reaches for my hand, but I am dragged away by another star, bigger and more stunning than her. She reaches for my hand. Tempted, I grow towards her, but I push away and take my star's hand, leaving her to die and burn away. There is a similarity between Paterson and many Hollywood blockbusters. With big Hollywood blockbusters focusing on events more than story, it's similar to the way Paterson is constructed. The story isn't the focus for Jim Jarmusch, but the normality in which events take place in a normal, less heightened reality. Just like blockbusters focus on the height of reality with earth-shattering obstacles, for Paterson, the biggest earth-shattering moment for a character is the bus breaking down. Even though blockbuster movies and Paterson are different with their approach, with blockbusters emphasizing the destruction and Paterson emphasizing the low-life events, they both opt to use events to tell a story. This is where the experiences of Paterson forms his poetry. With his poems all destroyed by Marvin the dog, Paterson continues his life with a bit of amnesty. There isn't a doubt that those poems he wrote meant the world to him, but he realizes, I believe at the end, that he is better than the poems he has lost, which ties a knot nicely with the idea of him not wanting to share them around because he created them for himself and knows he will get better with every new poem he writes. This event is the most devastating throughout the movie because up until that point, there has been moments where things could have been worse for Paterson. moments that tease a different outcome. The gang warning Paterson not to allow his dog to be dognapped, or when Everett pulled out a gun to then realise it was fake and the bus's electricity malfunctioning. Those moments are near misses, and compared to the loss of his poems, seems more favourable. That is because we can see the passion for his poems. They consume him every day, and to see that workmanship is admirable. I remember the first time watching Paterson. I was devastated for him because of the work he put in them. The summer is long. I watch the rise and fall every day. Today the summer is going in hibernation, away from the world. The light that hits your face and warms your pointed nose will no longer be in play, but taken away from the earth and will not return until it is ready to play again. Today is its last moment. I take it in and absorb the last rays. Goodbye, sun, for you may return stronger and brighter than before. We cannot ignore the idea of twins being used in the movie. Paterson starts with Laura describing a dream she had, where her and Paterson had twins.
Dream. We had 2 little children. Twins.
And from there, Paterson constantly sees twins wherever he goes. So what does this represent? I believe the twins is a constant reminder to Paterson about his need to create a second copy, or a twin-like copy of his notebook. Laura demands Paterson to make a copy because she wants him to publish those poems, but for Paterson he isn't bothered. But the twins he sees is a reminder of the importance of a second copy, and can be seen as an omen of the need to have a second copy of his poems. It isn't a coincidence that once his poems are destroyed by Marvin, he no longer sees twins. In the end, Paterson is an everyday man with a working class job. His life isn't filled with excitement, but more content with where he is at, and his poetry is his escape from the mundane and a way to express himself. I believe the success of Paterson is how real his life feels to the general audience, which makes him easy to connect with. This has been Understanding Paterson from the movie Paterson. I watched the movie today. It was slow and nothing ever happened, but I was intrigued, so I followed along. Pain was behind me, but happiness was closer by. The pictures on the screen move incredibly fast. My eyes cannot follow all individual frames, so they merge into one. The created flow grasped my attention, leaving me in full motion. Today I watched a movie, one that will stay with me for life.